So what a week it has been. Last week and a half, actually. It has been crazy. I've got so much to catch up on now that we're back at home. Starting with, I'm going to start with these guys. I'm going to start potting these up. As you can see, some of these are a little bit unhappy now, but they are due to be potted up and moved into a bit more of a brighter light that I have down here. So I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to move on to watering the garden, sorting some few bits and pieces outside and mow the lawns because they're overdue to be mowed. Today is just going to be a full-on catch-up day as we have not been home for the last week in 3 days, for a week and a half-ish. Our son decided to make his appearance in the world, and did he make an appearance? He came in so fast. So I woke up about, when did I get up? I think I got up at around 4:30 on the Monday morning. So I could start doing some editing and get a good head start on the day, doing a few other bits and pieces. And then I get a text from Carla, from her in the bedroom, saying, "Can you give me a towel? My water's broke." I was like, oh my god. So I went in, got a towel, obviously, blah, blah, cleaned up. And I asked her if there's any contractions. She said, no, she's fine, there's nothing really there. Within the space of half an hour, she went from no contractions to full-on contractions. So I was like, oh crap, really got to get going now. So I started sorting the kids out, getting Larry's stuff ready for school, getting V changed because he decided he was going to do his morning number 2s right as we were rushing around. And then we got into the car, and by that stage, Carl was almost really ready to go, and the birthing centre was still another half hour away. Anyway, we got to the birthing centre in time, got Carla in there, and within 20 minutes of Carla being in there, our boy was born. So I've potted up what I needed to pot up so far for now. And then there's a few, like the peppers and the capsicums and that, they still haven't quite sprouted enough. They're just starting to properly germinate, mostly because it's been a little bit colder and I don't have a heat mat to help them germinate. I'll let those keep going. Do these for now. Hopefully in the next 4 weeks, these will actually be almost ready to go out. They should be doubled, almost tripled in size by that point. And hopefully by then the garden beds will be ready to go too. So that should be a good couple of videos for those. So I grossly underestimated what I could get done today because I didn't start till about 1:45. And by the time I finished planting up all those seedlings and everything, I still had to have lunch, or late lunch, and then I'm on my way to pick up Alari from school. It's 2:30 now, it's a half an hour drive there. A couple of things to do while I'm in Hamilton, and then head home. So then obviously the day's over by then, because by the time I get home I have to start getting the kids ready for dinner and bed and all that. Now where was I up to in my story? We're at the birthing centre, going through the, just plodding on through the day, enjoying our day of our new son and everything. But then I started to notice his feet and his hands were really quite purple, and I know with newborns they can get a bit of discoloration in their hands and feet. It's normal, and have cold limbs too, because for the most part their heart's just doing what it needs to do to supply the brain with oxygen and its main organs. But for some reason it didn't quite sit right. I asked the question, I was reassured, and it's normal, so I was like, okay. So we left it at that. And then he did a couple sick-ups and they were quite black. And we were reassured then that's no normal, because he could have swallowed a bit of blood during birth. So it's okay, we understand that too. And then the day kept ticking on. And then it got to about 9 o'clock. And then 9 o'clock came around and it was the nurse's shift change, so we ended up with a new nurse and midwife. And the new nurse, obviously they do their checks for the start of their shift and everything, and she didn't quite like the look of his breathing, so she went and got a more senior midwife. Dre, come on, where you go? Where you go? And then she agreed as well, it wasn't that great. So they called an ambulance. We ended up going to Waikato into NICU, which is your newborn intensive care unit, which was a massive shock to us. We didn't know what the hell was going on. All day we were reassured everything was fine, and then just like that, it changed. It was crazy. It was the most shocking thing of my life. One thing that will always make you feel hopeless as a father is not being able to help your baby. It's insane. It's a very... it's a shit feeling, to say the least. So, got gas left over from when I did the garden beds. So I'm going to use it on these weeds in this part of the house again. I used the vinegar last time, which worked, but I haven't kept on top of it. As is another sort of more natural way of doing things is a gas torch. You can buy specialty sort of nozzles like these, but they're really long, so you're not bending over to do it, and more pinpointed, so you can actually target the weed itself without burning everything else around it. So I'm going to use this. Might as well use the leftovers. There was one small thing that did kind of make us feel a little bit better. Is not long after we got there and they put the CPAP machine on him and started getting some air into his system, his colour came back so much, like dramatically. So it was all good, but I couldn't stay there, and it was getting to 2 o'clock in the morning by that point. I managed to get Carla a room in one of the wards so she could stay there because she's still fresh, just giving birth. And here in New Zealand, they generally try and get you to stay 2 nights. We were at the birthing centre at the hospital. So I ended up having to go home and then rushing back in the morning. That's what I ended up doing for the next few days. So I'm running out of time. I'm thinking these oranges on the ground, they're going to become sacrificial oranges and go through the lawnmower and end up in the compost. Because I need to go pick up a Larry soon and get these lawns done beforehand. So anyway, over the next few days, they ran the test. They did an X-ray. They found fluid in his lungs. They suspected that could have been a bit of the culprit towards the trouble breathing and having to really work for it. And then eventually they kicked Carla out of the hospital because they had to give the room to other mums who had just given birth, and Carla's, still healthy and fine. So we both travelling to and from the hospital morning and afternoon. And overnight with one of them, he started to spew blood, which was a bit of a shock to the system, which prompted them to start doing tests again and everything like that, and look a little bit deeper into it. And so they started on omeprazole for acid reflux. And then over the day of being on omeprazole, I think it was the next day, it improved quite a lot. And they were able to lower his oxygen down a little bit. And one of the coolest things as a dad, with the other two, I always had them did skin to skin with my last two on my chest because they loved it. I'm a walking heater and it always put them to sleep. But being able to do skin to skin with your son who's on air supply and watch his stats settle and everything go perfect after 10 minutes of being on your chest, it's the coolest thing ever. And even having a nurse turn around saying, I can turn his ear down a little bit now. So anyway, we carried on doing that over the next couple of days. Started trialling him on the boob, he started to feed better. And then they found Carla another room within the NICU unit. There's a parent room where you can stay with one support person, mostly for breastfeeding mums, so they can be there with their babies and start getting the baby fed. Lawn's done. I didn't line trim like I wanted to. I went to go get the line trim and fill it up with gas, and literally a split second before I touched the jerry can to fill it up, I remembered I was supposed to fill the jerry can up from last time. So it was a rush to get these lawns done before the lawnmower ran out of petrol too. Oh. No, just because I sit down doesn't mean you come over. Ah! Oh, you're a goober. Right, where you go? Oh, we heard the pet. No. No! You guys are bulls in china shops. Stop. So Carla got the room. I couldn't stay that night. I had to go home for some reason. I can't remember why I went home. But Carla spent the first night with a little man in the hospital in her own room. She couldn't bring him into her room. He still had to stay in intensive care, obviously, on the machines and everything while I'm monitoring him. So every 3 hours she had to get up, walk to his nursery, feed him, and then go back. By the time she'd done that, and they were getting her to pump in between, she was only getting an hour's sleep in between each interval, so it was like 3 hours sleep all up overnight. And then the next day, I think they did a sibling Saturday, so you're allowed to bring the kids in so they can meet their siblings, their new brother or sister, which is really cool. Larry and Dee finally got to meet their little brother. Oh, not finally, they met him for the first time in the birthing unit. But then that night I was able to stay and help Carla with the cleaning of the pumps and everything like that. And while she was pumping, I was helping feed what she had pumped the previous time through the nasal tube he still had in his nose. So they still didn't want anything going through his mouth. They were still trying to learn to breathe and stuff. So that was all good. Everything was just slowly stepping up, and every now and then we'd have a little step back. But everything was working towards getting out that door. And then the next day we were upgraded to the Skaboo because he was doing really well. He started putting weight on, his breathing was getting better. They were able to drop him from high flow to the low flow. And then we spent a night in Skaboo, same thing again overnight of our routine. And then the next day they decided to take him off the air and trial it. And he did really well again. And that night they let him stay with us in the parent room, just had to keep waking up every 3 hours to feed him. Make sure he was getting his weight up, obviously. They weren't going to let us go if we couldn't get his weight up. And we were originally told that there was going to be 2 nights in the parent room with him, monitoring his weight and making sure everything else is okay. But then that next day we started having a movie day in the parent room because we didn't have to keep going back and forth to the nurseries. Hang on, buddy. And then doctor came in with a nurse and says everything's looking really good. We'll do his tongue tie because they found he had a tongue tie too. And you guys can probably go home. The feeling, being told we could go home when we thought we were staying another night and potentially more depending on what his weight was, it was amazing. It's the best feeling in the world, being able to know, knowing we're going to go home. Anyway, we went through the process and got home, spent the first night home. It's now been 2 nights at home since. He's been doing awesome. He's feeding on demand. He's sort of got his own little routine going. His awake time's around 9 o'clock at night for about an hour. He sort of just lies there chilling out. His babies too, they seem to find their own wake time. And it's been really good. This last week has been an eye-opener. It sort of makes you reevaluate things and think things over and all that sort of stuff. It makes you realise just how quick things, like, even when I lost my dad, I learned pretty in a harsh way on how quick things can change on you. But when it's your own little baby, and there's nothing you can do to help him, and he's lying there struggling to breathe and crying and all that other stuff, or struggling to breathe to the point where he's become lethargic and had no energy. There's just nothing you can do. You do anything to take that away from them, and you go through that process while they stay okay. I wish there was a thing. Unfortunately, it's not. But we're home now. Now we're working on moving forward, getting him fed. He's a little unit. Silas Smith, his name is. Born 9 pounds 9 ounces. He was born a big boy. Just a rough start to life. now get stuck into things and get back to work.